This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
Thanks for joining us here on the News at 7. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Amanda Starantino. After another weekend of demonstrations and protests in central Indiana and across the country, some are seeing progress in the conversation about equality.
Tonight, some leaders say that they see movement towards significant change. RTV6's Troy Washington is working for you with a look at how people are reacting to some of the changes we've seen so far as a result of peaceful protests.
Faith in Indiana, we've been pushing for some policy changes with our police department. And of course, it started with the massive march that we conducted the same week that George Floyd was killed.
When I first saw it, I was sitting in a barber chair.
Pastor Kenneth Sullivan Jr. sees the progress happening, but he also sees the frustration when black men step through these doors for a haircut.
Black people have been feeling alone for a long time.
But finally, the black community is getting more support.
So that could have been me or my little brother. So yeah, it is hopeful to see a lot of people standing with us.
Here in this barbershop, there's only progressive thinking going on.
We have the momentum and the opportunity to begin to push from protesting to policy change.
Talk about how to keep moving the message forward.
The looters and all the rioters, it was making the movement look bad.
Them looting, it's just the pain and the frustration. They see their grandparents, they see their mother, they see all these generations go through the same process, and everybody keeps saying it's going to be changed. And so finally starting to see that it's going to be, that movement is moving.
As the Clippers take away the unwanted hair, seeds of wisdom are being passed down in a bonding experience that many say is much needed right now.
I was telling him that it's up to his generation to really make the change, because we've already experienced it the bulk of our lives.
Working for you, Troy Washington, RTV6.
Well, after 92 years in Garfield Park, Mayor Hogsett's office says a Confederate monument will now be kept in a storage facility. The monument originally marked the grave of Confederate prisoners of war at Green Lawn Cemetery, but in 1928, public officials affiliated with the KKK at the time moved the monument to a more visible location in Garfield Park. The city dismantled the monument this morning, just days after Mayor Hogsett announced it would be removed.
Aside from protesting, many people are speaking out and expressing themselves through art in support of the Black Lives Matter movement. RTV6's Stephanie Wade spoke with local artists this weekend as they shared their message.
Walking up and down this avenue, starting with just boards, you saw more of the heartache, more of the pain that this country has been through. But as we fill it with art, you start to see the love, the energy, the life that we hope to bring back.
You can't get far walking along downtown's popular Massachusetts Avenue without seeing some painting, some mural, some words supporting Black Lives Matter.
Whether it's music, words, painting, I choose to use every platform I can to make a difference.
Fueled by a number of emotions, Gentry Parker and Elijah Norwood designed and are painting this mural in front of the Grand Union Tattoo in honor of George Floyd, both remembering his death and exalting his name.
To be 100% honest, anger. I was hurt. And then as an artist, you kind of ask yourself what message you want to put out.
A new beginning, a new era, a new age. I think we've been focused on the old way of living for far too long. A lot of those ideals and those beliefs, they no longer apply to today's world.
An interactive piece, they're painting the change they hope to see in the world with a bright yellow sunflower above a silhouette where people can stand in their shoes for even a moment, take a picture, and take the pledge to end racism and police brutality.
I want for our skin to not be weaponized, right? Just because of the pigment and the melanin in our skin. I want to not be feared just because of who I am.
Sadly, my grandparents had to protest, my mother had to protest, and here I am today. And I hope to paint a world or create a world in which my children won't have to do the same.
It's beautiful. It's a sign of peace. It's something that this community badly needs.
No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace!
The movement here in Indianapolis and across the country giving these artists hope.
we're happy to be black. We just are. And, you know, for once, at least in my life, I got a snapshot of, you know, I don't have to feel like anyone's looking at me a certain way because of the color of my skin, right? Judging me in a negative way. So when the protest came through, I mean, it was everything. It was empowering.
We walked through downtown and saw it all. And I think that was important because it made it real. And you saw places destroyed that you'd been in before. But now what you're seeing is those very same business owners are saying, that's okay. What we're going to do is work for peace. We're not going to work for anything else besides that.
A community coming together, knowing art won't solve everything, but it's a start.
As an individual, you are already powerful beyond measure. But united, there's nothing we can't accomplish.
Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
Stephanie, thank you. Call 6 Investigates has uncovered new numbers that show more Hoosiers are getting licensed to carry a gun. Our Kara Kenny has a closer look at what's behind the trend.
The images of looters burglarizing TJ Maxx and other downtown businesses are striking a chord with some Hoosiers who are now seeking guns and gun licenses to protect themselves. New numbers show in the first quarter of 2020, Indiana State Police approved 16,000 gun licenses, a 20% increase compared to the same time period last year, and a 35% increase compared to the last part of 2019. Experts say uncertainty surrounding COVID-19 is a big factor. Gun stores have also seen sales spike in the last few weeks following looting and burglaries of downtown businesses. Guy Relford says his training class on Indiana gun laws sold out in 36 hours.
When people see, businesses being destroyed and they fear for their lives primarily and their safety, then they're going to take certain steps. One of those is to be able to defend yourself.
Moms demand action for gun sense in America feels differently. The reality is whenever guns are present, the risk of violence, including unintentional shootings, is too. Plus, the increase in gun sales not only makes the gun lobby richer, but it also raises concerns about children who are in the homes where these guns are all too often unsecured, as well as in the homes of domestic abuse. The group recommends anyone with a gun to get proper training. Now, keep in mind, these numbers are not indicative of how many guns there are in Indiana, because you can have a license and no gun. And also, you don't need a license in Indiana to have a gun in your home. Reporting in Indianapolis, Kara Kenny, RTV6.
And right now, 954,000 people, nearly 1 million, have an active gun license here in Indiana.
Checking in now with Storm Team 6 Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory. Kevin, we're going to be seeing some changes coming.
And you'll feel it. 88 tomorrow, or 88 today. Humidity climbs tomorrow, and temperatures will still be in the upper 80s. Okay, we've cooled a little bit. 83 in Fishers. We're dry. It'll be a dry, warm evening, and if you notice the subtle increase in the mid to high level clouds, that's true across the entire state of Indiana. Look at Gary, 91. There's the warm spot. 90 in Lafayette. Temperatures elsewhere above average for this time of year. There's the veil of clouds being pulled to the north. That's the very northern shield of clouds from what was Tropical Storm Cristobal. We'll have the main impact during the day tomorrow. Dry and warm through the evening hours. When you join us again at 11 o'clock tonight, we'll still be well into the 70s and only around 70 for the overnight low. What sits in Arkansas tonight, the remnants will move quickly northeast, 7 a.m. just west of St. Louis, and then moving out of Illinois tomorrow evening. We'll talk about the timing for our thunderstorms in central Indiana and the severe threat coming up.
Now, still ahead on the news at 7, signs that some places are getting a handle on the spread of COVID-19, but concerns continue as more cities and states reopen.
This is RTV6 News at 7, working for you.
We're taking a look at the latest numbers from the State Department of Health tracking the spread of coronavirus in Indiana. 2,135 people have died from COVID-19. There have been more than 37,000 positive cases. And since the pandemic began, as more people get tested, Indiana's rate of positivity continues to drop. As of today, it's at 12%. The Department of Health says 13% of the state's ICU beds are being used by COVID-19 patients.
What was once the epicenter of the coronavirus pandemic in the United States has started the process of reopening. New York City has welcomed back thousands of workers, and cities around the world are showing signs of progress. However, cases are still climbing in more than 20 states. ABC's Trevor Ault has the story now from New York.
After 100 days of sacrifice to flatten the curve, New York City has now taken its first steps toward reopening.
Been waiting 3 months to take a train, and I actually feel safe.
Today, manufacturing, construction, and retail jobs were cleared to bring their employees back to work. The first of many cautious steps ahead.
We got to stick to it so we can get to the next phase and the next phase and the next phase.
But after 16,000 New Yorkers died from coronavirus, concern is mounting about a potential surge from massive crowds at ongoing protests.
We had all these at-home measures, and then we had thousands of people show up for protests. So I'm asking the protesters, please go get a test.
20 states and Puerto Rico are reporting an increasing number of confirmed cases, but the push to reopen continues to grow, not just in the U.S., but around the world. On Sunday, the TSA screened its highest number of airline passengers since March 22nd. In Belgium, places of worship have returned. In France, the Paris Zoo is back open with 62 new animals born during the shutdown. And New Zealand now hitting a major milestone, announcing right now the country has 0 active cases.
We are confident we have eliminated transmission of the virus in New Zealand for now. But elimination is not a point in time. It is a sustained effort.
Meanwhile, in Israel, some lifted restrictions have been reinstated after the nation saw a surge in new cases. And on Sunday, the World Health Organization reported its single greatest one-day spike in new cases worldwide. Trevor Ault, ABC News, New York.
Coming up, toilet paper is easier to find on store shelves, but one woman is taking legal action, suing after she says she was charged almost double by one store.
You can see the chance of rain is sky high tomorrow, but we'll get more into the timing of some potentially strong storms coming up.
Big money at Menards.
One of the country's largest grocery store chains is getting wrapped up in a price gouging lawsuit. A woman in San Francisco says during the height of the toilet paper shortage, she paid $19 at a Safeway store for a package of Angel Soft. It normally costs about $10 at the same location. The woman is suing Safeway's parent company, Albertsons, but the company has not responded. The woman's lawyer says this could become a class action lawsuit if more people come forward with proof that it happened to them as well. Kevin.
Mark, our latest dry stretch is coming to an end within 24 hours, but it's been a good run for farming community. Get out in the fields, get things planted, some hay taken care of. That's the Gregory household over the weekend. I've probably got a 15-acre field or so where the Hessian family farm comes and gets the bales of hay. It's about a 3-day process when the weather's perfect. Let it dry out, and certainly it did. Everything gets wet tomorrow afternoon into the evening. Wednesday, our rain chance will decrease. Then we start another dry stretch Thursday through Monday, and it will be very comfortable. Temperatures actually a little below average. I already showed you this. These are the mid to high level clouds that have been streaming in from the south through the afternoon. You follow the clouds and you get to the thunderstorms. But notice they're in bands. You've got one in Alabama, another in Mississippi, then the big swirl, a little more tightly compact right over Arkansas. All this will stream to the north. I don't think we'll have an all-day rain, but we'll have these little bands where if you catch one, you'll get a torrential downpour, and there's some other severe threats we need to talk about. 87 in Muncie, 88 in Logansport, Lafayette right now at 90. The wind will be gusty, even independent of any thunderstorms tomorrow at 40 miles per hour, and probably the most humid day that we've had so far as our severe storm potential. Damaging wind and isolated tornadoes can't be ruled out with these tropical systems as we get what we call a lot of wind shear, a change in wind direction with height and a change in wind speed. There's your wind out of the south and howling during the afternoon and evening hours between 30 and 40 miles per hour. Probably the peak time, anywhere say between 3 and 6, becomes the most likely time for Thunderstorms, again, not everywhere catching these. You'll catch a band 1 to about 4. There's one little area from Fowler to Lafayette down to Clinton County, Zionsville, Indy. So that will sweep north. Then we'll see another band sweep through, a little more unorganized, but that's the way it'll play out during that period tomorrow afternoon into late tomorrow night. We'll have some leftover showers and thunderstorms early on Wednesday. Don't forget, whenever we talk about the severe weather threat, the Storm Shield app is free. And it's a weather radio for your phone is one way to think about it. After we get past the opportunity for rain early Wednesday, then we really start to shine, literally. Sunny and 80 on Thursday. Temperatures into the weekend are in the 70s for highs, 50s for lows, and it looks like beautiful weather in the weekend will be in sync once again. We'll be back with more news, I think, right after this.
All right, thank you, Kevin. More people are meeting for brunch once again as restaurants reopen for indoor and outdoor dining. But 100 years ago, brunch would have likely been afternoon tea. There are not many places that still offer proper tea service. But in Greenwood, you can find a great cup and a great collection of history. Brad Brown has a look.
Taking a step inside this historic house in Greenwood's Old Town neighborhood, and you're taking a step back in time.
Remember the old days when you had the intimate events, when you had the china and the fancy tables, and we like to get dressed up. We like to go out and be treated nice and eat out of a fancy plate or a cup.
Cheryl Lutz-Domi has been welcoming guests into the Sassafras Tea Room for more than 10 years. The century-old home is the backdrop for an elegant setting that has just recently begun welcoming customers back inside.
We've missed our friends. The one lady, I wish I could have videoed her. One day she walked the door and just screamed. She thinks she'd have won the lottery. She was so happy to get out and come in.
The dining room is spread out over both floors of the house, and service comes on an incredible collection of antique china and heirloom tea sets.
And a lot of it shows up on my doorstep. People don't want it. They don't want it anymore. Their kids don't want it, so they bring it to me, and we repurpose it and use it.
Sassafras is one of very few places where you can still get a proper afternoon tea service. The regular menu features salads and a daily quiche special, along with scratch-made desserts.
Recipes, I just kind of experiment and test, and we've tweaked and adjusted, and I tell everybody now the menu the way it is right now, if I take anything off, I would be in trouble.
Oh, it's charming. It's really nice, very nice.
The quiche was wonderful, the best I've ever had. So, yeah, it turned out really well for a surprise visit.
The gift shop offers a wide selection of tea-related items, fresh-baked sweets, and crafts from local artists. After a couple months with no guests inside, this house is back to being a home for a little bit of tranquility.
We call it an oasis. When people leave, they feel like they have been somewhere special because we treat you good, and we become friends with. A lot of them have become my family.
I like the thought of getting dressed up a bit for a proper tea. Cheryl welcomes guests inside Mondays through Saturdays. You can also schedule special events on Sundays. Great space for birthday parties, bridal showers, and more. You can find all of that information on the Sassafras Tea Room website. Online ordering is available, and you can make reservations there as well. Working for you, Brad Brown, RTV6.
Mention.org/St. Vincent Hart.
Today, leaders in one central Indiana county discuss the future of a well-known and very well-loved natural landmark. Drive out to the country and everyone can tell you about the Leaning Tree. Beyond the barricades on Airport Road in Franklin, the tree has stood for a century and maybe then some. Local families used to make the horse and buggy ride to visit the two trees made into one. But barricades recently went up after the county got a complaint and had to inspect the tree, which they say is rotting at the base. A Purdue arborist says the tree is low risk, but the road that leads to the tree will remain closed until further notice.
You may not have noticed this tonight, but the ring around the sun during the afternoon hours was pretty visible. Lee Simpson caught this. Cirrus clouds created that effect, and they're the leading edge of the clouds that will lead to our rain tomorrow. Amanda?
Thanks, Kevin, and thank you for making RTV6 your choice for news. Our next newscast is tonight at 11. We'll see you then.